And I'm back with more Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. This time, we're at the trial of Maggie Bird, and we're going to finish it at some point very soon. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended up as a giant mystery. It's true. We still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that. No doubt. That flash of doubt. No, that wasn't doubt, it was determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get to the defendant's seat. Roger! Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She don't need that. How'd you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. You look like you lost the case already. Show a little confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this'll help. Not in a million years, pal. You remember this thing? Come to think of it. This is a small bottle that turned up in Tribulations' kitchen the other day. Wow, look at those small bottles. Their aromatherapy's got so many they're overflowing on the floor. Wait a minute. There's one that's different somehow. Well, what do you know? Doesn't have a label either. And doesn't smell. Finally got the analysis back from it. So what is it? Is it poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only. You mean? Yeah, it's that medication Glenn Elk was using. What was his medicine doing in the kitchen? What about unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, and they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour, they might have gotten something on the prints, but that's going to weaken the impact as evidence. Okay, pal. Just make sure your defense is impregnable today. I'm going to expose that guy. It's getting a lot colder outside. Very sniffly. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. We'll get underway at once. Yesterday, we heard this stupid testimony from the stupid idiot. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder in the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank with the right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with the left. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet, the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which effectively made him deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we gotta turn with it. You've lost me already. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've gotta change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing sand. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well, let's have the first witness take the stand. Oh no, look at me! And you are... Oh, bonjour, everyone! I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and the head chef of La Tribulations in Chan. Ugh. Forgive me for asking, but are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, la pert and perky gentleman, no? On the day of the incident, you were in Tribulations' kitchen. Isn't that right? With you, monsieur. Huh? Everything feels right. He's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Very well, your testimony, please. Please tell the court about what happened the day in Tribune. Oui, voilà. I don't know how to say it. Fuck it, I don't care. I just want this guy away from me. So that I can have a case where I don't have to do accents anymore. Would that be so nice? When it all happens, there was 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. Like having a large mirror between tables. Oui, perhaps that's what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, la glasses. Everything would have been in reverse, no? A mirror? Oui, und grand mirror. It's enormous. Oh god, he has the sway back so his butt's sticking out. Ugh! And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this. I know, and I haven't even had caffeine today. You may begin your cross-examination. I'm trying to break the caffeine habit, because that's like the millionth time I've tried. Who knows? Could work. Anyway, he said 5th. Let's see, he said 5th profile. 5th statement, Glenelg. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD? Let's think back to Mr. Kudo's testimony. The boy was wearing an earpiece in the same slot as the Glen. No question, you can lock me up. It was his left ear. So to summarize, we were told that both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. If Mr. Kudo saw all the reflection in the mirror, it would appear in his right. Exactement, you say, monsieur. Now that you think about it, it's not that hard, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction of facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it the HMD was on the wrong side of his head? Mr. Wright is correct. The witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the eyepiece to have been over his right eye. How bitter. Try you have a taste of bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase, sorry. Exactly. The old man has a very grievous habit, among other throwing seeds. The more an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's most striking about Mr. Elg? Clearly it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. His HMD left a big impression. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both in his left ear. Did you hear? Well, that's the worst, best impression of Kudo ever. I really thought he was old seedy there. He's good. I must agree that yesterday's testimony was irresponsibly rash. Bad luck, Nick. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly is the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on. We're all ears. I can explain. Please, if you look at the plans of the restaurant. The mirror. Okay. Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? The mirror is in the middle of the restaurant, dividing it into two halves. Here we only have one seat in which you can see the image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victim where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident, I moved the mirror so it could not be in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. I see no problems with the explanation. From the table next to the victim, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror. What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing the men all like that. Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breathing out a cold sweat over there. I hate that guy. You said you didn't touch anything else except the mirror. Are you quite sure about this? Volunteers, yes, of course. Your cross-examination, please. I was so dumbstruck by my terrible impression, I just kept going. Anyway, the mirror. Okay, third statement. Victor's testimony, crime photo. Okay. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words strongly contradict his testimony. This is the letter of apology? I realize it looks useless, but there's still testimony. Pfft. I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does this piece of shit have with this trial, Mr. Wright? Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question. Because if you clearly see it contradicts the piece of evidence. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we've heard. The crime photo. The photo clearly sees something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth are you talking about? Should not exist? Sounds like you're describing yourself. Now then, if the defense would clarify that statement. What is the something that should not exist? Oh, the left table. There is one thing that clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all. Don't be an idiot. That's impossible. The seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There's only one conclusion we can draw from this. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony is an absolute lie. Mon Dieu! Don't try to confuse the court, Wright. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? That's what I have to say. That's right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to our original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece and an ear in which he could not hear? You totally only get one shot at life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem's all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, I'll be much closer to the truth. Are you going to be okay, Nick? There's more than just one contradiction. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table, and there was a sample CD at the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions... This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there's one simple answer that clears them all up. And what's that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece on his left ear by mistake. It's weird, there's just some weird-ass delay in that. It's so contrived. Order! Settle down or I'll turn and clear the courtroom. Quiet. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you say? Tried you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretending to be Glenn Elg acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purposes of creating a witness out of one Mr. Kudo. Get real. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was insistent about in his testimony was the serving girl brought him a Javachino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there! I remember it well! I don't even remember his voice now. It's been a day. I don't care. Kudo's weird. It's hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show him the fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee. Are you insinuating the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true there was no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true the chef was there. He would have noticed what happened. That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it. Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trilogy that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole world what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. Ooh-wee. I'm a pig now. The victim, Monsieur Egg, came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Egg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later, the poisoning occurred. No, there was no time for a phony to be acting. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant at all. Je m'en pardon. Je m'en demand pardon. Forgive me. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up. What you have done is commit perjury. I will decide how to punish you later. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. He took the perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination. What do we got? Okay. So, in the restaurant, press the second statement. Ask about option 3. Okay. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui! He comes often for my special coffee. I drank your coffee once. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience. Oh, you make me so happy, Monsieur. You're most welcome anytime. I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old man Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time. Maybe I should ask about his arrival. Out of curiosity, what time was it that Mr. Kudo arrived? Oh, no, I cannot remember. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 on a scary old man, sir. Does that perhaps jog your memory? The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 and 2:10, no? Just after 2, huh? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, Monsieur. You're wonderful. I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony. Oui, Monsieur, Judge, everything I do for you. Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? I'm glad one person's in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. Quoi? What do you mean? At the time of question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was the Millionaire Radio. Each week they announced the winners of the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Louise, that must be the show he was listening to. I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant at 2, correct? Oui. I'm sure of it. I remember perfectly now. I know it was that time because I was finishing serving the lunch menu. Get to the point, if you have one. The show is broadcast live at 1:30, and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on the air at 1:30. Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when he won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier. No! This victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum, catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elks in Tribune that day. The real one, now dead, having been poisoned, and the phony, acting out events for Mr. Kudo. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how can you explain the time discrepancy? Quite a performance. You're almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song. What is this, music theory? Look, I would take that class in no sweat. Now, according to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain, then, where the real Glen Elk is? I don't believe I have to spell this out in court, however, at the time he was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say. I presume you can prove this little theory of yours. Care to explain where the missing corpse went to? The missing corpse? According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If this customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where'd the killer hide the body of the real victim? He's got a point. If your theory is to stand up to examination, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yeah, Your Honor. No conjecture. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden. Evidence? What's with this intense pressure all of a sudden? I thought I had him. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead. Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body? It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Tribulations. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside the restaurant? Perhaps you'd care to show the court. The exact location where the body was concealed. The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. The real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? No, I've never seen that ugly bottle in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. Only the highest quality for me. Where was this bottle found? Interestingly enough, it was found in the kitchen. Wait, what? I thought I only ever use these bottles for aromatherapy. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy. No, it contains a medication. What kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That he visited words. He was given medication for his ear. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results. The contents of the bottle matched his prescription given to Mr. Elg. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time his bottle fell out of his pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen? Mon Dieu! You know what I'm going to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back. No! This is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder him? Never. I would never do such a horrible thing. Uh-oh. Oh! Mr. Godot, you're not suffering from caffeine poisoning, are you? The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules. Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now? Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my age-deficient friend? Je vous demande pardon. You must hear me out. It was a trap. Listen to me. Why are you now speaking Spanish? Mr. Armstrong, por favor in Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it? No, absolutely no. Let's hear it. You got one shot. Right, Gramps? Witness, the court will permit you one chance to make a final statement. If you lie under oath again, his coffee mug awaits you, as does my gavel. This is clear. Why do they always say that in movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Very well, present your final testimony. It's true, I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with it because there was a reason I could not refuse. But I didn't kill him, I swear it. You must believe me. You were forced by whom? I cannot say or will be erased. Let's try a different question. When Glenn Elg died, Was he really the only person at the table? There was another man. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. You may cross-examine the witness. There's just one more thing I need to do. And I gotta break this guy and get him to tell him the name of the killer. Alright, so second or third statement. You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000? Is it true?
Oui. Je suis de ça. I was weak. I borrowed the money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked by this man. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oui. It is as you say. Mr. Armstrong, Le Tiger. He told me to be going to use his restaurant as a business rendezvous. On the day in la question, he was meeting the victim to demand a repayment of a loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did. He told me. I had no choice. I carried the body and inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I'd seen.
I think we can now see, and we safely say the man who forced your hand was Furio Tigre. I do have one more question for you. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
No, I know nothing about that. Making it look like Maggie who done it, that was... it's despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we'll adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. 30 minutes. What? The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the... Don't sit back and relax just yet. No one knows if the chef's really telling the truth or not. This trial could stand to go either way. Very well, your request is granted. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess.
Yay! I did the thing. Let's keep doing the things next time.